I know.
Uh,
All right. So, Sam, we got 11 people
go,
on. So now
go,
I'm going to
go,
start we got
go,
double digits. So
go crazy.
for those of you who are not familiar with Sam, and you will be after this show, Sam is a songwriter. He is a producer. His work includes, is it now 23 top 40 hits? Because I know your book is called 21 hits. But
That's so 2 years ago, man.
yeah, so now you're 23 top 40 hits.
Yes, sir.
All right. Including Panic at the Disco's High Hopes, Fits in the Tantrums, Hand Clap, I Can Make Your Hand Clap. That's the guy responsible for it. He has also written songs for One Direction, Train, Weezer, Blink 182. Wow, in 2008, Rolling Stone named you producer of the year. Is that true, dude? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. Shout out to Rolling Stone for that. He is also the former governor of the New York chapter of Recording Academy, and he serves on the board of the Musicians on Call. What is that? You'll tell us what that is.
I will. Musicians on Call brings musicians bedside to patients in hospital who dearly need some encouragement and joy.
That's
Incredible,
awesome, dude.
incredible organization. Big fan.
Yeah.
Big
And
fan.
he's got a great memoir. I've had him on my podcast. It's called 21 Hit Wonder,
Wasn't that
flopping.
the lowest rated episode of your
Yeah, it
podcast?
might have been. And this is actually on track to be my lowest rated live Substack
I'm
too.
getting
So
that sense. That's my energy.
you bring a wonderful energy to my show.
John, you
No,
know
but
what they
he's
call me? You know what they call me?
like,
Walking mid-season replacement.
oh man, you're like that quarterback you bring in right at the last. I was desperate. I couldn't. My guest dropped out. I think I'll bring Sam on. No, that is not.
Chips is going on hiatus. Let's put 10 Speed and Brown Shoe on for 4 episodes and see how it lands.
That's
So,
that's pretty much the story here.
yeah.
But so let's no to speak seriously here.
Mm.
I so you have this memoir. It's called The 21 Hit Wonder, and it's called the subtitle it says it all. It's called Flopping My Way to the Top of the Charts. The thing that's really interesting about Sam, aside from the fact that he writes a lot of famous songs that we all love, is that you did not have success in your life, at least financially, until much later in your life, until you were like in your, I don't know, late 30s, early 40s. Is that true?
Mid 30s. Slow down.
Mid 30s. Come on. I'm going to say late 40s. No. And what's interesting about that is, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things. It's like a lot of people might have given up, by the time they were 31 and not making a dime. Well, you were making some money, but you're not really having, not having the success you wanted to have. I think at one time you were thinking about getting into real estate, right? I mean, you were thinking about maybe.
No. I wasn't going to quit, but I definitely, I was on the bottom ladder of the proverbial bottom ladder of the industry, and I definitely, I was taking a lot of grunt work and a lot of,
right.
anything just to stay in it.
And then what was that? What was the change? What came that made it like?
I met you, John, and that was it. That was the moment the light bulb kicked. You know what? I truly believe that sometimes your path, time and space sort of have to align for it. I felt like there was a record that I'd been trying to make unsuccessfully for years, which was a hybrid of hip hop and rock and indie rock and all this stuff. And I had this soup in my head and I tried to make it with different artists and I never did it successfully. And then I collaborated with a group called the Gym Class Heroes and we made that record. And we made a record for $29,000, the entire album, the budget for everything. And it was my first real hit. It was a #1 hit. So that was it. But it was a really, it was a nice window into just sort of sitting back and not panicking and just, understanding that these things do take time and there is a, we are not cartons of milk. There's no expiration. So
yeah,
just ride it out.
That was cool that happened. And you stuck it out and now are.
Wow. You typed how did you type in a chat? Wow. That is so cool.
Isn't that cool?
Hey everybody, this is my first Substack. I've never been on a Substack. I don't even know what I'm doing here.
You have no idea. You have no.
Please coach me through if anything.
Can you put your hands down?
I'm gonna tell you I can't. I'll tell you why. Because I'm old. So I have a shoulder impingement.
Oh no.
So I just got a cortisone shot.
Oh dude.
I've never had that before, and it was a sexy needle. It was a needle that was.
You can put your hands up. Put your hands up.
No, that's fine. But I'm just stretching it out. I'm stretching it out. I'm stretching out
Um,
my people, but let's talk 80s and 90s. Let's get into this. I want to
all
add
right.
some
Well, I'm burying
some
the lead here.
content. Yeah,
I'm
I'm
burying
a
the lead.
sad lead. Like these people deserve better than this. So
No, no, no. They're awesome.
let's kick
Okay.
it.
So one of the things Sam and I were talking about, and we talk about, pop culture all the time. Sam's a big yacht rock fan, loves documentaries. I think we were gushing over the latest Billy Joel documentary and
Mm.
the Wham documentary, which was amazing. If you guys haven't seen any of those documentaries yet,
I think that if you had the We Are the World doc, that is my
that was
holy trinity of the last 5 years.
good point because that is a really good. Although We Are the World, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But that is an incredible documentary. That was like time travel. That was like literally getting into a time capsule and
Yeah.
just being placed into 19 whatever that was, 88,
Yes. Yes.
89. Anyway,
85. Yeah.
85. Oh, it was 85.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh yeah, of course, 85. That's like when I was in high school. I have to kind of figure out when I'm in high school. All right. So what we decided on, and one episode I've wanted to do for a while is the most underrated 80s, early 90s music, movies, fashion, etc. Things that I feel like now that we're like 40 years, I can't believe it's 40 years to the future, people kind of look back nostalgically at that time, but they seem to miss certain things. Like certain things have for some reason just and for good reasons have really surfaced to the top. Like when people think of the 80s, they think of these things like Madonna, her hair, the Breakfast Club, We Are the World, all these things that were very, very identified with the 80s. But some things kind of like for some reason haven't aged as well as I think they should have. And they should have aged better because they were things that made a huge impact on both you and I or both you and me. Sorry, object of a preposition. Um, and and so we're going to talk about the most underrated things of the 80s, but we are also going to talk about the most overrated thing. But here's the thing. We're going to talk about the most overrated stuff from the 80s. But only I'm going to talk about that because Sam he's got a lot of really good he still works with these people. Like Sam works with like well, not that they're overrated, but like people like Public Enemy and Flava Flav, and he doesn't want to offend anybody, and I don't want him to offend anybody. So he's just gonna get really quiet when we talk about the shit that I think is overrated. So
I'm
if
gonna,
you
I'm
hear
gonna
Sam,
I'm gonna do some method work. I'm gonna go stone faced, but
yeah, but you're
I'll.
gonna and maybe
But you know
nod
what?
your head,
You can read the face, and
and
hopefully it gets
and
through.
then I'll
You know,
just talk to the audience about it. So I want the audience when we get to the overrated part, I really want the audience
can I
out
lead?
there.
Can I lead with criminally underrated? Can I lead with this?
Yeah. So let's talk. First of all, we're going to talk about things that are underrated from the 80s. All right, Sam, you go first, and then I'm going to go. Maybe we'll go back and forth and kind of compare notes. And you might
There
disagree.
is no note because honestly, I'm dropping the mic. There's only one, and you teased it before, but the most underrated artist and talent of the 80s is George Michael. There is no competition. He is loosely forgotten by Gen Z. They have no concept of the brilliance. You're talking about a writer at freakish ability, incredible singer, completely
Sure.
transformed pop. He's a iconic to an era. And that's why I love that documentary so much because I think it gives him his flowers. Plus, you also understand what a beautiful guy he was and the dynamic between the two of them. But I just, there's so many days where I'll meet a young artist and they have no frame of reference for Wham or George Michael. And it blows my mind because he belongs in that highest sort of Mount Rushmore of pop of the 80s.
Why do you?
I've spoken my truth.
No, and I love it because I love
Thanks.
George Michael. But I think I'm a late adopter to George Michael. Like I don't know if I appreciate him as much back in the day as I appreciate him now. And if
Well,
if Careless Whisper comes on the radio, I will listen to that all the way through. Now, in 1984, whenever that came out, I was probably not like the hugest Careless Whisper fan, but now to me that song is it's like a brilliant piece of
Well,
music.
the Wham UK, the debut, is such an interesting slice of like late era disco, early new wave. It's really a funky record, and it's before he crossed over here, and it's the record before Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. But that's like a brilliant pop album, and it's during this time. They're like to me the great pop era, the lost great pop era is going to be 82 to 86, something like that. Record I was vibing on last night that also an artist who, at the end of the day, I know a handful of humans who go deep on is Greer and Scritti Politti.
Oh yeah.
Scritti Politi's Cupid and Psych 85 is, I think, like hands down, like the funkiest album of its era. And it's a deeper cut now. I mean, look at the fact that no one in the chat is saying, "Wow,
There's no
I'm I
heart. There's no
I
hearts.
I
I'm doing a
love
heart. I'm doing a
I
heart for Scritti
some
Politti.
can somebody give me a heart for Scritti Politti? Does anybody listen to Woodbeat, man? I
I
mean,
feel the
uh,
perfect end.
yeah, I mean that's
That's the only song I can think of from
produced
Scritti
by
Politti.
David
There it
Gamson,
is.
man.
There it is.
There we go. Whoever
Some
you are,
hearts.
my new BFF. There we go.
Right. There we go.
So,
There's
yeah,
some Scritti.
the Screwed Polity to me was like this incredible record. I think Prince was a huge fan of it, and David Gamson produced it, who went on to have a huge career as a producer, and I loved it. So,
Let's go back to George Michael for a minute. I want to
mhm,
talk about Scritti Politti. I've got a few that I want to add to this list of
mhm.
underrated acts. What do you think it is about George Michael? First of all, that was so good. Like, what as a songwriter, right? As somebody who's in the business and writes hits, what do you think that George Michael brought to this
I
game?
mean, he's just an incredible writer. He wrote his own stuff. You know,
Yeah,
he didn't need outside people. He didn't, he single-handedly, he had such a handle on soul,
yeah.
and he was a pop kid who really understood soul music. And
Hmm.
just melodically, it's, when you're dealing with somebody who can sing like that, when they're writing their melodies, they're so crafted and structured, really interesting. And, I don't know. I mean, if you look at that body of work over a 10-year period, all the way through Freedom, and even through Faster Love, like you're talking about just an incredible writer. And just melodically, he had tricks that other writers didn't have at the time. And I think it was because he was such an Elton fan and, a deep soul fan. He's pulling from all these canons, and I don't know, he's a badass dude. Like
Yeah. You know, one of the greatest things in the one of the interesting things about that documentary, that Wham documentary, is with Careless Whisper, where he goes down to was it Shoals, Muscle Shoals?
Muscle Shoals, yep, and gets
He
rid of
goes,
Jerry Wexler, yeah,
yeah, and because he felt like he wanted to give it more soul, he goes to like
yeah.
the heart of soul, and they do a cut, right, with all those guys, and still like George, it wasn't quite right, and they played it, and it didn't sound as good as
Nope.
as the one we know. Like
You're talking
he
about
knew.
one of the most famous soul producers in history, and to have the audacity to throw out a Jerry Wexler production cut in Muscle Shoals speaks volumes. And by the way, you're talking about, what is George at this age? Is he 23? You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
and to have that gravitas is incredible.
I mean, you could either say that's the height of hubris, or just you just know you know your sound, you know your music, and he just knew what was
having
right. He had a
having been
great ear.
having been on the other end of that and been fired by people before who really have a different vision, and they're the artist, and it's really their call. I have to say, you have to respect it. It's incredible. I think
It is, and the song, I mean, speaks for itself. It's not like the
uh,
song. What's your favorite George Michael or Wham song?
God, I love Wham Rap is my favorite,
Oh my
and
god,
which is a work of art. I love Bad Boys. I really love everything from Wham UK.
yeah,
Did somebody give me a heart for that?
I did because I just had to.
That's bullshit. Like, you're on the payroll. That doesn't
Yeah, I
count.
can't. Sorry,
Uh,
man.
I love I love the early years because they're so raw and kind of everything she wants. Yeah, I'd say everything she wants
Yeah,
is
I mean
probably,
that's my
to me, that's the
yeah.
definitive, certainly of the solo stuff. I also, that production is incredible. I mean, the first 8 bars of that, when they come on, it doesn't matter what venue you're in. The second that beat drops, it's unbelievable. And I believe
It's
he produced it
incredible. And the
himself as
chord
well.
changes. He
Yeah,
was very good. Now I'm going to be really geeky.
yeah,
He was really good at bridges.
yeah.
Like the bridge for Careless Whisper and the bridge for Everything She Wants are like almost as good, like almost better. Sometimes bridges are like throwaways, but they're almost better than the actual song. Like they're incredible.
Yes.
Oh, there's your pup. See, he agrees. At least I have your pup saying agreeing with me.
Yeah.
So am I right about the bridges?
Yeah. He was a traditionalist as a writer. You know what I mean? He was a real songwriter. So
Yeah. Nope.
he understood the craft intimately. He was amazing.
Yeah. And I think one of the reasons, I mean, it's just too bad because I think one of the reasons that he's been um I think the bad reputation is like some of the stuff that came out in the news about him getting caught in that bathroom in Los Angeles, right? With the that was not whatever. Like now that would be like whatever type story, but like back then that was so scandalous. And
Yeah, and
so
also just the way he went out. It's just I don't know. It Gen X, it's tough. We're a lonely generation. Like it sucks being Gen X. I know you rail on this a lot, but it's hard because our idols, you know, bowed out pretty early, and
yeah,
it's tough to watch.
bad out early, and that the fact that they died.
Yeah, yeah. They're
Oh,
just
you tell
bowing
your
out
dog,
some sort.
yeah, bow wow wow,
I'm gonna
including
take
bow
this
wow
out. I'm gonna
wow.
take this outside. Benita the dog is offering too much content, so
She's bow wow wow, which is another band
bowed
that
out
I
very
think
early.
is that bad out very early. All right, I'm gonna while Sam is doing his scene changery, I'm gonna throw out my underrated artist. I have so many from the '80s. Gary Newman. Um, Gary Newman. Here in my car, I almost started to think. If you guys probably only know that song, uh, uh, but if you listen to his canon, like that guy, it seems like he like invented the sound of new wave that we all kind of became very familiar with. Like he was so that's like 1979, I think Cars came out in. He was so early to that sound, and I feel like nobody ever talks about Gary Newman, and his music's
Yeah,
really good. No
Gary
hearts.
Newman and Kraftwerk are both sort of hitting in that similar space, right?
Yep,
Um,
Kraftwerk, totally.
I think, yeah, Gary Newman was incredible. Was it films? Is that right?
Yeah, I
Um,
think that was the yeah.
he, yeah, I mean, and I think that's fair. I think, honestly,
Okay.
I'd give you that one.
If you listen to
He's
Gary
badass.
Newman now, it still sounds like new. It
Cars
still
is a
sounds like
miracle single. It's a perfect single,
it's perfect. Yeah.
perfect single.
And if you listen to it now, and I put this once on my like a some post and I got a lot of likes on it. So it must have been right. No, but like it's almost like
I just
you
gave you
listen.
one. I just gave you one.
Thank you. Um
You're
and he's
welcome.
still recording, as Dan said. That's great. And actually my a guy that I work out with has played with him, and yeah, like his I think his kid. I mean, he lives in LA. I think his kid goes to like it's like around our the age of our kids actually.
By the way, that was like the most LA drop ever.
I know, I
What's
know,
happened to you?
I
Come
know.
back
I
to the
I
motherland.
got to come back to Westchester County.
Jesus.
I've become
Can I
such
get
a.
some hearts for
And by
John,
the way,
like getting
Mister,
out of LA?
if anybody can drop a name, it's Sam. Sam's like, oh, what were you doing yesterday? Oh, I was hanging out with Ringo. I was like, Ringo Starr. You're like, yeah.
No,
Uh,
Ringo Schwartz. He's my lawyer.
he's everything
And
named after his parents' favorite artist. All right, so I love Gary Newman. Another band that I really like from the '80s that never seems to get any play is Go West. They're
Go West are great.
Go is great.
West
We
are great.
close our eyes.
They're,
Um,
yeah, they're way beyond King of Wishful Thinking.
yeah,
He was a sexy man, right? He was a very sexy fella.
they're very attractive. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I remember the funny thing about Go West is, and this is the one thing I would say maybe to slight Go West,
yep.
is I do remember the videos coming on and thinking that this guy was like 15 years older than me, and he was probably 5 years older. He had a
Oh,
mature face, you
right.
know? And in the 80s, there was only one guy. I mean, I guess you say Phil Collins, but for me, it was Huey Lewis, right? Huey
Yeah,
Lewis, like, was doing this dad thing, when I was in high school, and he's still a sexy man. But I gotta
I
say,
didn't.
with Go West, I don't know what it was visually. I kind of wrote it off.
Well, I maybe I had the same experience with Huey Lewis. Now, I didn't appreciate Huey Lewis until I saw the documentary that we mentioned at the top of this show, One Night, The Best Night in Pop or whatever, One Night in Pop or whatever that thing that was about We Are the World. Huey Lewis is like the hero of that doc. He's one of the heroes of that documentary because we didn't know that he just stepped in at the last minute to replace. Who did he replace again? I don't know. He replaced some
Um,
huge
uh,
iconic.
Waylon
Um,
Jennings walks out of the room
yeah,
because of the Swahili issue.
yeah.
But I would tell you one thing: Huey Lewis is, to me, he's the baddest cat on earth. Talk about a guy whose backup band was Clover, and then they back up Elvis Costello. Like in the Bay Area, Huey Lewis was a heavy cat, and musically, like people, I don't think people understand. It's like it's way more than just bar band stuff. He's super, super um badass, and also the writing as well. I mean, he. It's funny because "Do You Believe in Love" was a cover
Uh-huh.
written by Mutt Lang, and it was one of maybe Mutt Lang's first hit or one of his first hits. And then Huey digs in his own stuff, but I don't know, man. Like, to me, I mean, he's not underrated. Obviously, Huey is incredible. Can I add one into the can? Can I add
Yeah,
one?
please. No, it's your turn.
Okay. Um, this fella passed away, I guess, early this year. And it was funny because I once was in an elevator with him, legitimately starstruck.
Yeah.
And it was very random. It was Mike Peters from The Alarm.
Oh, the
And
alarm.
what I would say about The Alarm is The Alarm sort of got tossed into the bin of U2, um, U2 sycophant sort of band, a second tier big country. But The Alarm were unbelievable. And there's a video on YouTube that you can watch, which is an MTV special from '86, and it's when they dropped the album that has strength. And
Uh-oh.
it's a free concert that they did at UCLA.
Oh,
I
cool.
can you hear me? Am I
Yeah, we
back?
can. Yeah, you're back.
We're good. Yeah. So it's a concert at UCLA, and it feels like there's 10,000 people on the quad at UCLA, and MTV's covering it, and it's a full special. It's an hour concert, and you see a band hitting so hard. And the funny thing about it is, I watched this video over and over when he passed because I feel like the Alarm are 10 dude. What was so
Yeah.
interesting is he's smiling throughout this entire performance as he sings these, songs about these with these Western motifs, And the only thing I could think of is he might have been too nice a guy for this business. He seems like he might
Right.
have been the nicest guy ever to do it. And from all accounts, he was just this lovely man. Because I really can't understand why the Alarm
Yeah.
weren't sort of in the elite level of alt bands at the time. I mean, the
Yeah.
songwriting was so crafty. It was like sort of,
I can't think. What's an alarm? What was their big hit?
you two meets well, Rain in the Summertime, but beyond that, but 68 Guns, The
Okay.
Stand, Spirit of 76. I mean, these are real like
Like real songs.
sort of alt classics, like
Did you talk to your
Magnitude DRE.
did you talk to your hero in the elevator or did you panic?
No, I panicked, and I don't rarely panic. You know who else I panicked? And you were with me a night that I panicked, and I'm gonna out myself with this one. But me, you, and Adam Schlesinger were at a party, a Sid Gold's party in L.A., and Mike Mills from REM was standing 5 feet away,
Yeah.
and it was one of the very few times where Schlesinger went up to him and dug
Oh
in, and I
yeah.
couldn't do
And you
it.
couldn't do it.
I
Just
was too
too
straight.
big.
REM was too big. REM was too big for me. REM was
I think Michael Stipe went to some of those things. I remember Michael Stipe, but even Mike Mills is even bigger for you than Stipe.
Mills is really cool. Mills is cool because he's doing all of those crazy counter melodies and getting those harmonies. And I don't know, Mills to me was always the coolest thing.
There's a few
So,
people like that. I think I just completely freak out if I saw in person. I would freeze. I would
does
freeze.
does the list? Anyone watching want to throw in a couple names and we can harp
Yeah.
in on it?
Who are we missing? I mean, if nobody joins in now, so we're talking about underrated bands of the '80s, bands that just don't seem to have like fought on as much with Gen Z or with just various, I mean, the dog is going crazy. He's like, how about Bow Wow Wow? Nobody's saying Bow Wow Wow. Okay, Housewife. Okay, so I'm gonna say that Lisa Stansfield is somebody that for some reason nobody ever talks about, but I loved her record. Like I listened to it over and over. Oh, okay, wait, we got one here. Robert Smith, My Dream Man. Um, uh, so anyway, I love Lisa Stansfield. I don't know. Do you have a feeling on Lisa Stansfield? Do you know why I loved her?
She was beautiful, and that's one of the great singles of the '80s. I don't know. I don't go deep
I went
beyond a
deep with
couple of
her.
singles.
It's
So
maybe because when I lived in Japan and I was very at the time that she was popular and it was hard to get a hold of like Western music at that time. And so this is like pre-internet or whatever. So I was like, I had my Lisa Stansfield CD and I guess I went pretty freaking deep with Lisa Stansfield. So that could just be just a weird personal thing. Do
there's
love
that
her.
there's that jazzy moment of the '80s, of the late '80s, mid to late '80s, and
Like
it's
soul
Lisa
to soul.
Stansfield. Well, yeah, on one end, certainly Soul to Soul, and then also Swing Out Sister, who
Right.
had a couple of incredible singles. Baja was pretty jazzy. You know,
Yeah.
the British artists always leaned in on that thing early, right? Like there's that whole pivot in the early 80s where Elvis Costello, Joe Jackson, Paul Weller, they all
Uh-huh.
make these sort of jazz influenced records. And I love that era. And then in the late 80s, they have all these sort of big pop records that do the same thing. We didn't do it as much in the States. And I dig that stuff more too. I mean, Been Around the World is one of the great singles ever. So.
It's a great one. Um, I don't know if anybody has any other underrated. You keep going. You go. So you like the
I
alarm?
can't say Robert Smith is underrated. I feel like he gets a ton of love.
Yeah,
Um, and he still sells a lot of tickets, man. He's real big. Um, Chub Rock is underrated.
for sure.
Chub Rock is underrated. The great Howie T passed away, producer last week.
Oh
Hitman Howie
no.
T,
Howie T. He did,
who
yeah, he was
produced all those
great.
Chub Rock singles and also produced Special Eds I Got It Made
Oh
and
no
The
way.
Magnificent. He's one of the great producers of that era who's sort of forgotten in time.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't
He's
know. I'm trying to think of
Sweet Tea.
80s stuff. Yeah, sweet tea.
Sweet
Um,
Tea. He did say,
um,
okay, "Hey, Howie T." She always
yeah,
she gives him credit in the beginning of that one. That's the only reason I know Howie T's name.
Howie
Um,
T, Hitman.
Howie, if we're going to talk hip hop, because there's a lot of hip hop artists I think that are underrated from the 80s. 80s is because everybody gives the
Joy
90s.
Division and New Order were great. Yeah, you're not going to get an argument from me. I mean, God, that's the foundation of.
By, do you
Yeah.
see who wrote that? You might recognize that name from Details magazine.
Oh, I
Early
do. I
Anka,
do. I don't
right?
want to. I don't get
Ask
get like.
Anka.
I don't want to get like weirdly starstruck, but I
Isn't
know.
that cool? I
I
know
I, I
When
can
Anka
read a
comes.
little banner below. Hi, Anka.
um, but Anka, by the way, we worshipped Anka in the 90s for Details magazine. They had an advice column. But anyway, so yeah, Joy Division. It's funny because I
Weren't you
guess
the
Joy Division,
style guy? Were you the style guy?
the girl, she
Where
was
were
like
you?
the
No, you. Were you
oh,
the
me. No, I was Jake. I was glamorous Jake.
glamorous
Um,
Jake? I see it.
yeah, and I
Obviously,
was
it
the
makes sense.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I was the guy guru for Cosmo as well. But anyway, that's a whole other episode. Um, if we're gonna
And
be talking about
what an episode that would be. So
if we're gonna talk about hip hop artists that are underrated, I mean, I could go on for days and days. I actually want to write an article about this because I feel like the 80s doesn't always get as much love because I think the 90s were such a golden era for hip hop that I think sometimes when we talk about the 80s, we think of like, I don't just like the kind of early days of hip hop, like the Sugar Hill Gang. But if you were
yeah,
like really following hip hop in the 80s, like there was incredible artists coming out of the 80s. One I just saw in concert last week in Rakim, Eric B and Rakim. I think Rakim, I mean, I don't know, in hip hop circles, he's not underrated, but like in the general mainstream population, he's pretty
that I
underrated.
agree with completely. I think Rakim, Big Daddy Kane,
Right.
um, both of those cats were sort of
Guru.
the definitive MCs.
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't put Guru in that league, but
Okay.
Rakim was probably the Rakim KRS One Big Daddy Kane, right? That's
Yep.
this
The top
that
three.
to me that's the sound of like late 80s New York.
That's the sound of the police.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
And
is.
they're all sort of lost in time, I think beyond hip hop heads. And I think Rakim might have been the best to ever do it in many ways. Like I
He's
think,
always on my list of the top three
you
MCs of all
know,
time.
yeah, it's just he advanced the art to such an extent that
He was the first person to start rhyming within the sentence. Like he rhyme, like it seems like everybody does that now, but like he was the first. He wasn't before that. All rhymes were like da 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 da. Like it was all like you just rhymed at the end of the sentence. He rhymed within the sentence like multiple times. Now Eminem does that. I mean, they all do it. Every rapper does that now. But anyway, that was really, and he also slowed down the pace. If you guys haven't ever listened to a Rakim record, like I just after this, just listen to Rakim. I mean, he is
well,
so amazing.
they were jazz guys, so
Yeah.
they wrote in meters of jazz heads. So they it was a lot of improvisational stuff. I remember, that was a Chuck D thing, and Chuck was always sort of trying to write at least of what what I recall, was a lot of just jazz sort of bebop sort of meters, and that's why like they're coloring outside the rhyme scheme and doing all these internal rhymes that are super sophisticated.
Yeah, that's why I've heard Rakim interviewed and said that he was trying to imitate like jazz saxophone solos that he'd heard or whatever, like Charlie Parker and these kinds of guys from
Which
the
makes
bebop.
so much sense, you know.
Yeah,
But you know, that to me, that was the pinnacle of it. For me, hip hop is the greatest art form in my lifetime between '87 and like '94,
yeah.
and then you know it's a different, you know, it's a thing
Then it
after that.
falls off.
It's just a different. It just becomes a different genre, you know. But
Yeah.
that stuff, you know, the golden era stuff is just it's staggering. I would
Yeah.
say all of it is criminally underrated because at the end of the day, it does, you know, it only sort of, you know, it doesn't have the reach of, let's say, a Biggie or a Tupac or, you know, Eminem or any of these things, but these records are so seminal, you know.
Right. Yeah. I for sure. I gotta write this article because I feel like 80s rap gets a bad rap. And I'm gonna throw it out there and you don't have to comment. This is where you get because I'm gonna get into my overrated.
But look how
Um,
stoic I look. Is this like my
I know you
stoic
got really
face?
so we said in the beginning that Sam, given his lofty position in the music business, can't really come down on any artist, but I can because I have no except the fact that my son wants to be in the music business, so maybe this is not helping him. But anyway, I am going to slam Run DMC's Walk This Way, which is often, I don't know, like there was book, I've had people on my podcast that wrote books about that record. Now, it was innovative in the sense that it brought together, it was like the first sort of mainstream hip hop song where it kind of brought like rock and rap together. And so that was, and Walk This Way as a song individually was one of my favorite songs in like the late 70s. I love that song. I mean, I used to listen to it over and over and over again. I had the 45, but putting them together as a rap and a thing. It was so gimmicky. Even Run DMC didn't really like it. Like neither DMC. You are so stoic right now. Neither DMC nor Reverend Run even really enjoyed making that record. I think they thought it was corny. I think it's super corny. I think it's an overrated record. I don't think Run DMC are overrated. I love Run DMC, and they made a huge. But all the stuff of them that Run DMC did that are influential to me are like Sucker MCs, the stuff they did in the early days. So
Can I
I
comment? Can I comment? Can I
yes.
comment? One, one. There were no hearts that were thrown your way during that because these people know better. Two,
Walk This
um,
Way was the worst rap.
two.
I can't believe as a purist.
Here's what I would say about Walk This Way.
Yeah.
Um, it's the foundation of everything I do in some weird way because I still believe in combining rap with rock in different various forms all the time.
Okay.
Um, What I will give you this, it has not aged the way I would have I would have thought at the time. And if you're looking deep into the Run DMC catalog, I would do King of Rock or Sucker MCs or It's
Even
Tricky or any of that
Rockbox.
stuff. Like,
Rockbox
yeah,
is even better because that was
Rockbox or
yeah.
Christmas Time and Hollis, which is the best of all. So
Mm, might have to
I would
disagree.
say, oh, it's the best. My Adidas, like that's my starting five for Run DMC, and I wouldn't put it in my starting five, but I think what that song did culturally for hip hop,
It
and
was
really,
important.
which it gets hip hop on MTV.
Hmm.
It's the breakthrough. It also resuscitates Aerosmith, who were dead in the water. So the I'm gonna give you the big disagree, but I would say it hasn't aged the way
Maybe I just mean
I thought
musically
at
it's
16.
overrated. I guess you're right. The cultural impact was significant. Here, let's talk about another song that had a huge cultural impact, but I just want to talk about the song itself. And that is
Over or underrated?
so I'm going to say this is an overrated song, but
Okay.
but it made an impact. And this
All right.
is
I just want to get my face ready. I
yeah,
want to give
be
it.
very stoic because I know that you're going to completely disagree. And I want you to talk about the songsmanship of this song. So We Are the World. First of all, if you compare We Are the World to Feed the World or whatever the one that the British did before the year earlier,
Do they know it's Christmas?
Do They Know It's Christmas is a far better just as a song. It's just a better song. And then
You're gonna get 100% agree.
You are okay. Okay, so you agree with that?
100% agree.
Yeah.
I'm not a We Are the World guy. I'm not
Okay,
a We Are the
good.
World guy.
Yeah, it's not a great song, right? It's kind of corny. And
I I It's a song I never want to listen to, but the documentary made me fall back in love with it, or maybe fall in love with it for the first time. But
Yeah,
when it came out, I was a hate. When it came out, I was a big hater. I didn't get it.
I didn't get it either. Now, what is it about the documentary that, aside from the fact that, like I said, it was like time traveling, what was it that you learned about We Are the World that kind of just blew you away when you saw that doc?
Well, I mean, has everyone seen this documentary? Throw some hearts up if you've actually seen this documentary called "The
Hearts.
Greatest Night in Pop" on Netflix.
People are not hardy.
Because oh my God,
There's 30,
if you have
well,
not seen this
I
documentary,
know.
it is the most definitive snapshot of the '80s that I've ever seen.
Yeah, there we
Um,
go.
it made me just love the process. You know, you understand how chaotic and hectic it was. Also, it's a nice little window into the importance of Lionel Richie in that era
Hmm.
because you know Lionel Richie, just like Phil Collins, I think Lionel Richie and Phil Collins are two people. I would never use the term underrated, but I would say I think people forget how significant both were on the massive sort of in the zeitgeist at the time. These are really like two of the figureheads. So I love it because it's literally Lionel Richie playing the best ball of his career, where he's assembling this thing and running around like a madman from the award show and just does all this stuff. Whatever. Look, all I have to tell you is just watch this documentary. You don't have to be a fan of the song. I was never a fan of the song, but it's absolutely fascinating to watch the dynamics of all these celebrities in one room,
Yeah.
with, you know, under the gun. And I'm just gonna say the drunk Al Jarreau was the reveal of everything.
And
And
also the kind of slightly obnoxious Cyndi Lauper, who then comes through in the end, but wasn't even going to come because her boyfriend said, "Oh, it's kind of don't go to this." You know, she wasn't even going to come that day. That was interesting. And then she ends up killing it.
yeah,
Um,
I worked, I worked at Cindy Lauper.
okay, so what is she like? You can't say anything
What's
bad.
up?
It's what is she
I
like?
lost you. Hold on.
Did you lose me? Oh, you kind of froze a little bit
I'm
there.
back.
Right in the
I'm back.
best part.
Yeah.
No, I
I
said, so
think
what
that's
is
why
Cindy?
I was meant to freeze there.
Right, because you're not going to be like, oh, Cindy, she's awful. No. But did you enjoy working with Cindy?
Yeah, she's very nice.
Okay. Okay. Stoic. Mr. Stoic.
Yeah.
Um,
No, she's very, by the way, very talented. Very, she's very nice lady. It's very nice. We didn't come up with anything I think that changed the world, but she was absolutely.
did you write a song with her?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. And did she release
Yeah.
the song?
No, of course not.
Okay. I just didn't know. I'm about,
Or I'd be like just dousing you with glowing accolades.
yeah, I'm actually,
When they shelve a song, they're dead to me. You know what I mean? It's a
yeah.
problem.
You also worked recently with Public Enemy, or at least with
And
Chuck D and
Flavor
Flava
Flav.
Flav. Tell me about that experience. Was that a good experience?
Yeah, they're amazing. I mean, they're two of the loveliest guys, and they work so hard and super open, and they were extremely welcoming. I mean, Flav and I have become very tight. Flav did my audiobook.
That's the best
Flav,
thing I've ever heard.
Flav is my voicemail if you call me.
Yeah.
And they're both of them. They're lovely guys, and they're very witty and funny, and just their banter. I love the way that they interact between with each other. And look, you
And they're
know,
still friends, right? Like they've been, I mean,
they're very tight. And also, you have to understand, like, just for a cat like me who grew up around all this stuff in the periphery and just always wanted to, you know, experience it. Just the fact that they were willing to take a guy who, you know, writes songs with, you know, Weezer or Blink or any of these people and doesn't really come from their world, you know, in any, you know, certainly not to the extent of the Bomb Squad. It
right.
was amazing that they let me permeate, and we did the new record's out now. And, I wrote a
What's it
couple of the
called?
sing. My single is called "The Hits Just Keep on Coming," and I wrote a song called March Madness as well. But the hits just keep on coming. I wrote with those guys and produced it, and I think it's pretty good. I really dig it, so I highly recommend like give it a listen. It's kind of fun.
So can you take us a little behind the curtain? I'm sorry, we're going to go back to it, but it's just sort of interesting. When you're working with a Public Enemy and you're producing, writing a song, do you come to them with like a track and say like, this is what I want to do? Or do you come to them with rhymes or do they do like,
I mean,
how does it?
they write their own stuff, but I, you know, a track, a chorus,
Yeah.
Um, I just come in with a ton of ideas and hope that something
Right.
lands. Sort of like I
Right.
said, I'm like the Willie Loman of song sales. So I just sort
Yeah.
of I show up and I'm just trudging my notebook around and on this case also a beat that I made and you just pray, man.
You just pray. All right. I want to throw out a few more musical acts to see what your take is on them. First of all, nobody ever, when you listen to the 80s rock stations, there's certain songs they'll play over and over again, like Don't You Forget About Me, 99 Luft Balloons. Like there's certain songs that are just like definitive 80s songs. But then there's
Hmm.
songs that I remember liking in the 80s, I guess they're 80s songs, that don't ever get played a lot. Like, for example, Betty Davis Eyes by Kim Carnes. Now, Kim
Oh, wait,
Carnes
wait, 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 wait.
is that
Come on,
70s?
come on.